The day I discovered that the woman I was about to marry had been deceiving me for months. My entire perception of love and trust shattered in an instant. What I uncovered altered the course of my life forever, and the actions I took afterward were things I never imagined myself capable of. My name is Alex, and I was engaged to Emily, the woman I believe I would spend the rest of my life with. We had been together for over 4 years, and to everyone around us, we seemed like the perfect couple. Our wedding was meticulously planned, every detail falling into place. Or so I thought. Emily was the kind of person who commanded attention the moment she walked into a room. She was outgoing, confident, and effortlessly charming. Meanwhile, I was more reserved, introverted even, but together we worked. She brought excitement and spontaneity into my life, while I provided her with stability and support. At least, that's what I had convinced myself of. But over time, small things began to change. At first, they seemed insignificant. Emily coming home late from work, appearing distracted when we were together, or stepping out unexpectedly without telling me where she was going. Whenever I asked, she dismissed my concerns with vague excuses. Just out with friends, she'd say. Lost track of time. I wanted to believe her, to trust her, but deep down, something felt wrong. As the wedding date drew closer, her behavior became even more erratic. She went out more frequently, stayed out later, and seemed to be actively avoiding me. I confronted her, but she always brushed it off with a carefree laugh. "You're overthinking, Alex. It's just a night out with the girls." Then came the night that changed everything. Emily had gone out again, another one of her so-called girls' nights. I tried to ignore the growing sense of unease, but it gnawed at me. I had dinner alone, watched TV, and waited. When she finally came home around midnight, I knew something was different. She wore a tight red dress, something bolder than her usual style, and her entire demeanor felt off. "Where were you?" I asked, keeping my voice steady, though my heart pounded in my chest. She barely met my gaze. "Just at a party," she replied, brushing past me. But I wasn't convinced. I had asked her this question too many times, and every time she made me feel like I was the problem, like I was being unreasonable. But that night, I knew I was losing her. The next morning, as Emily showered, she left her phone on the kitchen counter. I had never been the type to invade her privacy, but when a message popped up from her friend Linda, I couldn't ignore it. "I can't believe you did that last night." My stomach clenched. My instincts screamed at me not to look further, but I couldn't stop myself. More notifications flooded the screen. I hesitated, then opened the conversation. What I read made my blood run cold. Emily hadn't just been sneaking out. She had been attending swinger parties. And last night, she had slept with 3 different men. My hands trembled as I put the phone down. I felt sick. The woman I had trusted, the one I was about to marry, had been betraying me all along, and I had been blind to it. But I needed to be sure. 2 nights later, Emily announced she was going out again. This time, I followed her. She met up with Linda at a bar, and soon 2 men arrived, men I had never seen before. I watched from a distance as Emily greeted them like old friends, laughing, touching, flirting. And then she kissed one of them. I took a photo. Then another. My heart shattered, but I didn't stop. I followed them as they left the bar, trailing them to a nearby hotel. Without hesitation, Emily disappeared inside with one of the men. She didn't look back. She didn't care. That was it. I had all the proof I needed. When she returned the next morning, she acted as if nothing had happened. But I knew better. Without a word, I packed my things, took off my engagement ring, and walked out the door. I never looked back. The next day, I woke up in a hotel room, alone. My phone was flooded with messages from Emily. "Where are you? Why aren't you answering? What's going on?" But I didn't respond. She had made her choice, and now I was making mine. I called off the wedding, canceled everything, and left the city for good. I refused to be tied to someone who had betrayed me so deeply. I started fresh, rebuilding my life without her. I didn't want to hear about Emily anymore, but word eventually reached me. Her life had crumbled. Her friends turned on her, her family was ashamed, and her relationships never lasted. She was left dealing with the consequences of her actions. But none of that mattered to me. She made her choice, and I made mine.